Embattled Supreme Court Judge Phillip Tunoi wants Court of Appeal Judge Gbm Kariuki, who is presiding the judge in the case in which he is challenging the retirement age for judges, disqualify himself from the case. Justice Tunoi told the 7-judge bench hearing the case that he, in the past, presided over a case in which Justice Gbm Kariuki was fined £500,000 shillings for contempt of court while practicing as a lawyer, and that this could interfere with a fair hearing. The application will be heard on Monday, and Patrick Abimo has the details.
Court of Appeal Judge Justice Gbm Kariuki led 6 other appellate judges on the first day of hearing a constitutional case challenging the retirement age for judges appointed before the current constitution came into effect. Supreme Court judges Phillip Tunoi and Kalpana Rawal, who doubles up as Deputy Chief Justice, and High Court Judge David Onyanja filed the application to be retired at 74 years, as was the norm under the old constitution. But before the hearing could start, Justice Tunoi threw spanners in the works. Through lawyers Fred Ngatia and Firoz Noroji, Tunoi wants presiding judge Justice Gbm Kariuki removed from the bench. Tunoi says in 1994, he presided over a case in which Justice Kariuki was fined £500,000 shillings for contempt of court. In 1994, while working as a human rights activist and lawyer, the ruling Kanu government brought criminal charges against Justice Gbm Kariuki, the then People Weekly newspaper editor-in-chief Bedan Mbugua, and reporter David Makali. This was after Makali, in the People Weekly issue of March 6 to 12, 1994, wrote an article where Kariuki was quoted saying a recent Court of Appeal decision amounted to, quote, judicial lynching and blackmail tailored to meet the political expedience of the executive, end of quote. This was after a 5-judge bench of the Court of Appeal dismissed an application by university lecturers perceived to be anti-government, seeking to block the university administration from evicting them from university houses. A 3-judge bench comprising 2 judges from the 5-judge bench, whose ruling was criticized, fined Justice Kariuki £500,000 shillings or serve 6-month sentence. Bedan Mbugua was fined 400,000 shillings or serve 4 months jail, while Makali was fined 300,000 shillings or serve 4 months jail. The hefty fines by then standards were to be paid within 3 days. Journalists Bedan Mbugua and David Makali refused to pay fine and were jailed. Justice Kariuki paid the fine. Justice Tunoi is apprehensive Justice Kariuki might now demand his pound of flesh.
I'm not looking forward to a contest. I'm looking forward to whether, in this modern world, it will be correct for a judge in that situation to hear a matter involving now the first appellant.
The first appellant knew, as at the 13th of January, that the presiding judge here was the judge presiding. No objection was taken to the Honorable Justice Gbm Kariuki, Judge of Appeal, being part of the bench. 2
weeks ago, Justice David Onyanja wrote a letter to the Chief Justice Dr. Willy Mutunga saying he intended to proceed on terminal leave pending his retirement at the end of this month.
He actually has authorized me to say he intends to prosecute this appeal to the end. And he made that position abundantly clear in his letter, which he forwarded to the head of the judiciary.
And I'm not sure whether he appreciates the distinction between resigning and retiring. I think it's good for you to take instructions and be clear whether he retired or he resigned.
The Court of Appeal judges will rule next week on whether Justice Gbm Kariuki will be excluded from the hearings or not.
The first appellant's application shall be heard on Monday, 15th February 2016 at 2:30 p.m. Further orders on the hearing of this appeal shall await the outcome of the said application.
The conclusion of this petition on retirement age at the Court of Appeal is a matter that is awaited with keen public interest because it will determine the composition of the Supreme Court. Patrick Abimo, KTN News, Nairobi.